Well, today it's a couple months away from season opener, and Amy and I are doing laundry and getting all of our equipment ready. Just kind of wanted to go through the steps of what I use for scent control and then talk about it a little bit. So Amy's putting a batch of laundry in right now. What do we got going on here, Amy?
Just putting in all of our lightweight hunting gear.
So we're getting ready for early season, so it's all lightweight type stuff. And then just real quick, every year about this time of year we switch over to show them what we got going on here.
This is the Tide Pads. It's perfume and deodorant. It's free of dyes and perfumes, it says.
Yeah, and so we use Arm & Hammer makes one. There's like 3 or 4. But we switch all of our laundry over to the perfume and dye free. And then the one thing we might do with our hunting clothes is we'll add a little baking soda to that batch.
And I always put 2 in. Tom gets mad, but...
I put 1 in. I'm allergic to this stuff. No, I'm kidding.
No. He's just cheap.
So that's our laundry routine. That's it. We're not using any kind of fancy deer hunting laundry soap, if you want to call it that. All right, so that's enough on that. Let's go down and look at what I'm using for scent control, like for my showering and stuff. Let's take a look at that. So we're always in a hurry around here. So I want to go through my shower routine. So for showering, I use basically antibacterial hand soap. That's what I use for soap. So Germ-X is one that I've used. This is Dial. Anything that's scent-free, antibacterial. This one says hand soap, fragrance-free. So this is what I use. Again, I'm not using, marketed deer hunting type stuff. Fresh towel. So if you're using a towel, I used to be in camp with 5 other guys, and we had these towels that we used over and over and over, and after 3-4 days they just smelt bad. So either a fresh towel every day or throw it in the dryer. When I'm done drying off, I use Amy's hair dryer. So I want to make sure that I am completely dry. There's no moisture on me for bacteria to grow. So when I'm done drying off, then I use basically unscented antiperspirant deodorant. So the Arm & Hammer, Ultra Max, I don't know if that means anything, Speed Stick, unscented. So any of these unscented antiperspirant deodorants, and anywhere that I sweat, I'll put this. So underarms, around my waistline, my lower back, right in here I'll put it. A little bit too much TMI here, but I'll even put this in my groin a little bit, the backs of my knees. So anywhere that I'm sweating that you would think is like body odor, like stink, obviously I'm not covering my entire body, but I'm just kind of using this anywhere that I'm going to be sweating. So that's one kind of, and again, you don't need to buy the marketed stuff. This stuff is just fine as long as it's unscented. Every night before I go to bed, I'm using an antiseptic mouthwash. So trying to keep my scent out of my mouth. I don't do it in the morning or before I go out on an afternoon hunt because this stuff pretty strong, but I'll do it every single night before I go to bed to just try and keep my mouth scent to a minimum. So we'll go back upstairs, but we started out with the laundry stuff. So every piece of laundry in the fall is going to get washed with that perfume and dye-free laundry. It's going to get thoroughly dried and then put back into our totes. So all that stuff, and I have a warm season tote and then like a cold season tote. Once I wear a piece of laundry, once I wear some clothes, if it touches my skin, so if I have a base layer or something that touches my skin on one hunt, that goes back in and has to get rewashed. So I have enough base layers to go through probably 5 or 6 days before I have to do a load of laundry. If I wear it but it's not touching my skin, I either run it in the dryer for about 20 minutes on high heat, or I'll hang it outside on like a clothesline on our deck. The last layer, I just want to talk about this a little bit. So you can get layered up, and then when you get to your stand, The best scent control that I've ever used is the cheap, non-breathable rainwear. So this stuff is just PVC lined. You can't blow through it. It's almost like you're in a balloon. This is a line of defense that'll keep you basically from here down completely scent free. Now, full disclosure, I don't do this very often because it's uncomfortable and it's kind of noisy. But I'm just telling you, when you do this, rubber boots, the pants, the jacket, PVC lined all the way up, you're good to go. There's absolutely no scent. So that's kind of my shower routine. Let's go back upstairs on the deck. I'll show you something. Let's see if that camera fogs up. It's really humid today. Does it look good, Amy?
Yep, looks good.
So all of my base layers are synthetic. So my pants, my underwear, my tops are synthetic, and I think that does a better job of scent control because bacteria has a harder time growing on synthetic. So I want to take a step back and just say we don't know how to measure scent. Don't go back. You're gonna step on my antlers and hurt your feet there, Amy. We can't measure it. So we can measure sound. We know how deer can see. We don't really know how good deer smell, other than they can smell awfully damn good. So I go with synthetic. So now this is gonna be touching my skin. So at the end of a hunt, this has to get re-washed. Minimum back in the dryer, but typically if it touches my skin, gloves, base layers, it's gotta get re-washed. Spin that around here, Amy. Something that's not a base layer. So like if I'm wearing a pair of sweatpants as my second layer, so I wore it for that hunt, for example, but it wasn't touching my skin, then I'll either hang it out on the line here or I'll run it through the dryer for 20 minutes, 25 minutes on high heat. All of our stuff that you're not going to run through the laundry, like rattling antlers, I don't wash my belt, my release, camera arm, boots, that stuff about 2 months before our season opener, it's all outside. And then we also bought this PVC cabinet where Amy and I will store this type of stuff after an evening hunt or after a morning hunt. We'll come and we'll put it in here if we don't want it to get wet. If it's something we can hang up, like if I can hang this belt up, we'll hang it up. But otherwise, everything else, if we don't want it to get wet, we'll store it outside in this PVC container. Trying to think if there's anything, is there anything else I'm missing, Amy? The one thing I'll say is, this is my scent routine. We don't buy any like marketed scent control. I don't use any sprays, nothing like that. I think swapping out clothes is the most important. Oh, I'll touch on this for a second. I will go in on a morning hunt or an evening hunt wearing the least amount of clothes I can. So sometimes it'll be 30 degrees out and I'll be walking in with a t-shirt and I'll be freezing. And I think that's key, is to not sweat. Because once you start to sweat, your scent profile, the amount of scent you're emitting, just skyrockets. So I'll go in with the least amount of clothes on that I can handle when it's cold. When it's warm and early season, you just take your time. Maybe I go in later. If I don't want to go out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and it's 80 degrees out, I'll try and like push that envelope and go in later. But I'll do anything I can to not sweat. I think that's about it. Oh, I do want to touch on this. I know a lot of guys will go hunting. They'll have all their clothes washed. They'll have all their clothes, as scent free as they can possibly get. And then they'll come in from their hunt and they'll take all their clothes off and they'll put it right back in that tote. In my opinion, once you do that, everything in that tote now, you washed it for no reason, because you've just basically put all that human scent right back into that tote. So once I wear something, once it's put on me out of that tote, it never goes back into that tote until it gets re-washed, or it goes to the dryer, or it hangs outside for a couple days, and then it can go back in the tote. I never put my socks in the tote, stuff like that. You don't want to, everything that's in your tote should be like sterile. That should be scent free. You don't want to go putting your clothes back in there. So yeah, that's just what we do for our scent routine, and then we have pretty good luck with it, although we really don't have any way of measuring if the deer are smelling us or not. So good luck this fall. So Amy and I got to talking, and Amy actually reminded me that, so we do a lot of stuff to reduce our scent profile, washing the clothes, and I rewash my clothes, and we hang our stuff out to dry and all this kind of stuff. I want to say this is all done to reduce our scent profile. I don't think you're going to eliminate it. We don't use any of the ozone stuff. We don't use any of the sprays. This kind of like deer hunting marketed type stuff, and I'm not anti that. We just don't do it. Like Amy says, I'm too cheap, but I'm just not going to spend money on gear type stuff. I just that's not who I am. However, we do our best to be, you know, as scent free or reduce our scent profile, but we are still always entering our hunting spot like we stink. Like we, you know, I'm going to pretend like I didn't shower and I'm covered in diesel fuel, and I'm going to keep the wind in my face. I'm going to use perpendicular access. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to not let deer get downwind of me, not let deer cross my tracks. I think that's really important. So even if you do a really good scent job of reducing your scent, you should always just assume you stink really bad. The other thing is, I've watched videos of guys that are just, you know, I would say almost insane with their scent control, that, you know, 100 steps, and it takes them like an hour to get ready for hunting, you know, for an evening hunt. It's like an hour routine to get ready. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but for Amy and I, it's just not practical. I think this is pretty good scent control system, and if it's too hard, people just aren't going to do it. So to me, this is a pretty good, solid system to reduce your scent profile, but then you still got to keep that wind in your face, perpendicular access, and you'll have some pretty good hunting, I think, this fall. Would you agree, Amy?
I agree.
I mean, that's what our goal is. So, all right.